Turn 19th and the 47th foot does a bayonet assault. I've already rolled for it. The militia that are waiting do not rout, but they don't stand either. They are broken and they retreat a full move to the rear without affecting other units. Okay, so here we are. They unleash some pretty devastating fire against the 47th foot, which is now down an entire stand. That being said, the Royal Welsh Fusiliers opened fire an absolutely devastating volley. It took out 2 stands of these guys. Going to be doing a morale check here a second. This might be where everything falls apart. This gun, too, also took out a couple figures over there. Well, this got real interesting real fast. I'm glad I continued to play this out. So even as Colonel Smith and Major Pitcairn are making their report with the survivors of their column after this devastating volley by the 23rd foot, and I suppose you could say the assistance of this gun just for psychological terror, these militiamen have run for the hills and they have caused a cascading retreat. Now there's still quite a few soldiers who are still hanging by, militiamen. Actually, soldiers is a strong word, right? But quite a number of militiamen that held their ground. But what happened here, as you can see, there are a number of militia running down the road. So, just so happened that the soldiers that were guarding the captured British Grenadiers routed too. Well, if they're routing, I don't think they're spending a whole lot of time managing the situation. So the Grenadiers have taken the opportunity to run themselves. I basically am treating them skirmish distance because I'm assuming this is not an organized affair. It's just like soldiers running. So I think it would be pretty likely that they could get back. And at this point, I think it's time to call this game because, yeah, we have some soldiers here, but are they going to, militiamen here, but are they going to, yeah, they'll hold their position, I suppose, but they're not going to get attacked. At this point, Percy is going to pull his troops out. Now, it would be interesting to do, get them at least to Lexington or off the board, but I think at this point, we've reached a stage where all the reinforcements are not being calculated that would be coming in for the rebels. And I don't really want to mess with that. I mean, technically speaking, they're probably being getting harassed at all ends right now, but I really don't have any resources in front of me to calculate what that would be. So I don't think it's worth my time to continue. I think we've reached the conclusion of the game. Haven't quite made it back to Lexington, but they're going to get there. We know they're going to get there. I don't know. Here's some final thoughts about this game. What do I think? What I think is the scenario from the British Brigadier Scenario Book number 2, Lexington and Concord, is actually a pretty good starting point for something like this. If you put enough time and effort into making sure that the scale is right, I think that Redcoats in the Wilderness by normal, by James Harris and Philip Bach, but I believe it's called Normal Warfare or something like that. It's the name of their company. Normal Warfare Publications. I think, and you almost, like I said, this is helpful to have too, for if there's anything missing, like officers being shot at. It's addressed in here. I think it works. The biggest challenge would be if one really wanted to make this a good simulation, you need to have a referee, and you need to have hidden movement. I think there's just too much knowledge here for the British player. What's coming up? What's going on. Now the Rebels had literally eyes and ears everywhere, I think, on this after Smith was in Concord. So they were going to know. They knew that the troops were going to be coming back down the road, for instance. So they didn't know ultimately where they were going to go. If one wanted to do the long game, it gets really complicated because decisions are made by Percy, wise decisions it would appear in many cases, to get himself and his troops back to Boston. But as far as this segment from Concord to Lexington, I think it would be helpful if there was the Rebels got to, use hidden movement. I guess you could use hidden movement markers for that with decoy markers is one way that you could do it, or you could use a referee. But if that's done, I actually think that this is actually much more feasible than I imagined it would be when I started.